So, in other news, from the industrial complex of fake outrage, we have yet another boycott from black women. And they on a roll, they boycotting everything. From Tyrese to, what were they boycotting last week? Oh, they were boycotting the TV show Gorilla. Now they're boycotting a black-owned company, Shea Moisture. For what they did was egregious and terrible. I can't even believe that they did that. But now I didn't even know this about. I saw it earlier today. Not Simone 5'6", she's terrible. Don't listen to her. She's horrible. But Simone Thomas, aka Tora Sense, and so I'm thinking of she posted one of the little Facebook pictures with the color behind it saying that Shea Moisture was canceled, and no one said actually what happened. They just were all like, "Yeah, we're done." Another sister did say, "Let's play devil advocate," but we really tripping about this. But there's a lot of stuff we don't protest or boycott, like the Asian salons and the stuff you gotta do when you go there to get your nails and hair done. But that's a different part of the conversation, though. But apparently, there was an ad that was less than 2 minutes, and Shea Moisture took some heat because they wanted to diversify their products in a capitalist society. How dare they? That's totally uncalled for. Apparently, black women feel because the product has been marketed to them in over 100 ads, as the Advised show pointed out. They've done 100 ads and commercials directly dedicated to black women, but now they did one where they're being more open to biracial women and white women with red hair in particular. And we're going to break all that down. Now black women want to boycott. But here's my problem again, and why I don't co-sign a lot of these boycotts from black women. Because when it's a black man or black business, they can get all their ducks in a row and they can boycott with the ease. This is a black-owned company, and y'all talking about boycotting it over one ad. You can't work with that. Anyway, so at first, I'm thinking like, well, this shit sounds familiar. I remember Chrissy and Sarge already talked about this. I think Chrissy did a video about it a while back about them doing something and wanting to diversify and open their business and all that. And then Sarge has been talking about this for a while, talking about how, I don't know her name, but the one, I don't know if that's Taryn Guy or whoever it was, but some YouTuber who does hair and makeup tutorials, but she's biracial, and she does this, she got picked up by mainstream, and because of her success from YouTube, which she did gain off a platform dealing with a lot of black women, you can say that. But she got picked up and went mainstream and got to deal with Revlon, and even though her hair tutorials are helping her, make money to show how to deal with hair like hers, not like the women who were probably supporting her. I guess that's one of the fundamental differences between black men and black women. If Zoe Williams and the Hodge twins and Jesse Williams were, working on some skincare products to help bring out your gray green eyes, I'm not watching it. That's not for me. We on a whole different melanin content level and eye color. But apparently black women will watch women who don't look like them and have different grades of hair of them, and they'll support them in doing hair and makeup tutorials. So I guess that's the fundamental difference between black men and black women. Y'all will put them on a pedestal. We quickly acknowledge like, yo, he can't represent us. That's why I think part of their argument was that the biracial girl in the commercial said that I hated my hair and yada, yada, yada. And we all know that that is a problem for biracial women. It was funny a while back, and I'm saying this is when you're, to give Kim K-Ho some credit, I don't know how many times I've heard black women write articles or in person say, about white women with mixed daughters and how their hair be looking jacked up and a hot mess. I agree, they do a lot of times. I have 2 biracial nieces. We took her to the Dominicans one time to get that thing straightened out before. But yeah, she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't get her hair braided the first time until my mom did it, my niece. But in Kim Kardashian's defense, this woman acknowledged that she did not know how to do her biracial daughter's hair, and she wanted to learn. And I'm like, well, I'll be damned. All this time she has been, I've heard a lot of black women complain about white women with mixed daughters not doing the hair, not, having them go out looking a hot mess, right? And then you have one who's saying, I don't know what I'm doing. I want to learn. And somehow that turned into some argument about white privilege because she admitted she didn't know what the hell she was doing and she was seeking help to learn. But that's a different part of the video. But there is a problem when black people in general, but black women in particular, have no problem co-signing biracial women as black. I've said before, the whole one drop rule conversation is pointless. When you're talking to older generation of black folks, when you're talking to some of these new generation young folks who are even embracing who they are and they're not picking a side, it's just confusing. It's not worth having a conversation because people, if it's a person of esteem or like a president or a Tiger Woods told y'all he wasn't black like 5 times, and I just watched a video or a sister is putting him in a boat with the black men who've lost money to their white wives and divorce settlements. I'm like, well, why do you keep using Tiger? He told y'all he wasn't black. He's 5 of the 4 different races. Tigers who to backtrack a little bit, to add on this whole biracial thing, because that's one of the problems. They said she might she looks Puerto Rican, whatever, but she looks biracial to me. But just recently, the TV show Big Little Lies, which is another show on HBO that has some success, the Beckys love it. It's like Spice freaking Starbucks, and they're talking about it. They love the show, and of course, black women have to find a way to put themselves in it, being that one of the characters is Zoe Kravitz, Lisa Bonet's and Lenny Kravitz's daughter, who is an anomaly. Both her parents are biracial, which is different than an Ebro from Hot 97 or Drake or Laura London. Both her parents are mixed. So, I don't even know how that shit works. But they were upset because in a fake outrage, her character, and I've watched episodes trying to see what the point was and what they were crying about, because they don't mention her race. She's a black, they want her to be the black woman. She kind of is playing the character of I forgot what they call them. They were talking about them on YouTube a lot. Pretty much Len character from Girlfriends, just a kumbaya hippie, weird, chick. She kind of reminds me of the chick who wore that Trump dress on the red carpet. This mixed race woman who's married to a white guy who already had a family and kids. And she's on some weird health nut stuff and vegan and, all that. But that's the type of character she reminded me of. She's basically playing a mixture of her mom, herself, the chick who wore the Trump dress, and then Len's character from the TV show Girlfriends. But they looking at that and they say, well, why don't they mention her race? Why don't they bring up the fact that she's black? So you don't got no problem when a person is, both her parents are mixed, which makes her, I don't even know how to articulate that. But you want to give her blackness. So you can't make the argument that this ad is erasing you or replacing you with a biracial woman when you have no problem seeing the blackness in mixed people. Right? Another example is the TV show Girlfriends, which I do not watch. But they had a controversy with Shea Butter Twitter crowd, got to separate, who's are making the complaints. But they were upset that I guess there was a baby in the season finale that Lord Lena Dunham had. And the baby is apparently supposed to be Puerto Rican and Pakistani or something like that. Like, it's mixed. But the biological mother of the baby who's in the show was like, yo, the baby not black. I guess it's Puerto Rican or something else or whatever, or even whatnot. And black women are like, commenting like, who black baby is this? Who black baby is that? Who black baby is this? And the mom's like, yo, the baby's not black. So yeah, again, y'all giving blackness to this baby who is, I assume, biracial or mixed. So you can't make the argument as far as the biracial girl is concerned in the ad. You can't support hair and guy, whoever these chicks on YouTube who do hair and makeup tutorials, and you don't even share the same grade of hair as them, but then get upset when the major company sees the success you give these women and give them a platform. Why do y'all keep trying to include this man even though he told you he didn't want to be included? Like, take him out. There's enough black men you can use who are black with 2 black parents that you ain't got to. You know, you ain't got to just add folks, just to add folks. But I think that's part of the problem, right? When I think it was Harrison, he quickly came out and said, Kaepernick, you ain't black. And he got excoriated in the media for that. He pointed out that he's biracial, and folks didn't like that. Roland Martin was the first one. He is a black man, you know? So I'm saying that old class of black folks, they one-drop rule to death. They see biracial people as black. So you can't get mad at an ad. You can't look underneath black women who are mixed or biracial women. You can't support them in spaces where they're taking your shine, which is only when black women sometimes wake up. When they see the biracial woman taking their shine or being in a space where they feel that they should be, that's sometimes when they feel some type of way about it. When they see the brother that they like, celebrity-wise, that's untouchable, unapproachable, with someone like that, he's a colorist, it's a problem then. But when it's just y'all and them in a room, y'all have no problem playing second tier and just follow it back and sit in your places. That's one of the difference between black men and black women is at least black men will compete for that validation and that attention. Even if the structure doesn't give it to us, we'll still compete. Actually, that's what we do. It's in our nature. Not for something that's a valid reason or importance, but we will do that. It's just in us to do. But so the whole biracial chick being in there, you can't make that an argument because y'all co-signed the one-drop rule. You can't say your president is black, but then say she shouldn't be able to represent you when you co-sign that in every other area. Now, as for that redhead, because I know when she said, I dyed my hair 7 times, black women were instantly triggered. I know that made them feel some type of way in that little 30 seconds, not even 10 seconds of what she said. But again, let's look at this from the totality of the thing and look at how the world operates, not to be in our feelings, but to think objectively. As a marketing standpoint, I totally understand why Shea Moisture chose to put the redhead in there. There was this YouTuber a couple years ago. I don't remember how long ago it was, but I remember she was getting backlash because she was doing videos about natural hair, but it was a white girl. But she had naturally curly hair. And a lot of sisters got in on her on that and was going at her and trolling her account and this and that. And she's on some kumbaya, can't we just all get along and recognize that none of us are the standard of beauty. Meaning, and that's true, redheads are not in the standard of beauty. They're not what white men promote in movies and magazines and whatnot. Can we name like 5, off the top of the head, women who've reached that level of just... Now, they do say that Julia Roberts, they keep saying she's the most beautiful woman in the world, I guess. She's won that like 3 times in a row, I guess. But like her is one, which I don't see, but they say her. And I know Cindy Crawford maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, she could have been up there. And I think like Mary Jane from Spider-Man, right? That's it. Like, so looking at it from the totality, I'm not correlating the situations. I'm not saying that a redhead woman will face the same discrimination in employment and things of that nature. I'm specifically speaking about when it comes to validation and the media and promotion. They are not promoted the same as their Tommy Lawrence. There's a news chick that does exactly what Tommy Lawrence does. A little bit more coherent. She definitely does seem to have an ideology that she sticks with, not flip-flopping around like Tommy does. But she does the same thing that Tommy does as far as responding to what's going on. But she seems to have a better grasp of how politics works, and she is a actual libertarian, not just play one on TV like Tommy does when it's convenient. But she'll never have the success that Tommy had at The Blaze. And I think she might be on the same network, or I'm not sure, but that's my point is redheads are not standard of beauty either. So the white girl on her channel said, well, I see these black women are doing something for themselves because they don't get the representation they need from the dominant culture. I'm white, but I still don't fit in. I'm looked at as the black sheep. I'm not picked in the movie roles. I'm not the main girl in the movies. I'm the best friend. Same argument that black women make when it comes to movies and whatnot. So I'm going to use my platform to promote me. And I'm thinking to me, and this is where the problem is. It's like, to me, if she stays in her own lane, does her own thing, is what it is. I think the problem where people get the butt hurt is that because she is white, and because she can have a bigger following, because she will get the kumbaya multiracial crowd to come over there, she'll probably be more successful than the black women who are already doing that. So I can understand. I think that is the problem. Her doing it and her, having that space isn't necessarily the issue. It's the fact that she'll obtain a level of success on her YouTube channel or even make going mainstream that, a sister might not be able to get. So I get the argument, but I think if she stays in her lane, she's fine. But I'm saying I understand that these women are not the standard of beauty. Dark-haired women, blonde. That's why when people say that black men are brainwashed to like this image or whatever, and the blonde hair in the back, and I'm like, that's not true at all. Like, most don't even like that look. They prefer brunettes anyways, in my observation, in my experience. But yeah, they're not promoted the same way. So I totally understand Shea Moisture, not butter, capitalizing off of that. They're saying, whoa, there's a white girl on YouTube doing videos about natural hair, and she's talking about, not being able to fit in and not being picked in roles and all. Same exact arguments as black women making. I'm going to capitalize that. I'm going to be black and use that and capitalize it. The same way the dominant culture looks at some of the stuff that black women are saying and they use it to capitalize off it. Just being business savvy. Now, I mentioned Mary Jane, and it's funny because I say that one groups that have something in common with knee-jerk reactions and irrational responses are black women and white men. A perfect example of that is the Dear White People Netflix trailer. Now, I didn't watch the movie, not interested in it, or no, I'm interested in watching the show, but I read what it's about and what happened in the movie, and their outrage, white men, is more so about the name of the show. That's it. Because if you actually watch it, it's not what you think at all. Stefan Molyneux did a video about it, and he's just all wrong in his analysis. I think he should watch it before he critiqued it, or at least watch the original movie, because he's all wrong. But more than anybody, white men have shown me how important validation is. So I don't never say it's not important, it's not a value, or anything like that. But when it comes to being Mary Jane from Spider-Man, I look at that as a white dude who saw, whether it was his mom or he recognized that this type of woman is not promoted in the media, and I'm gonna use my platform to create this character and for women who look just like this. So I understand when they complain and bitch and moan about her being Zendaya now, who is biracial. Now, everybody I watched a lot of the videos, as I said before, of the dudes who are doing comic book videos and all that, and they're like, man, we just hope she does a good job. Like, she has to do a good job. She better deliver, right? I think you had Kristen Dunst, and I don't know who else has played her, but they want, and she did the role justice, I guess, in their opinion. Not some, like, she's not some super hot, typical chick that you'll see, on other networks or in other movies. Like they wanted a plain Jane, a regular girl think that's who Mary Jane embodies. So again, I understand when white boys were like, well, wait a minute, like we made her this way because we wanted to promote this image, whether it's to contribute to their mamas or to contribute to the girls they were attracted to, or just acknowledging like this is what I like because it's something different. I don't go after what everybody's going after. So I'm saying like all that to say like I understand the redhead being in that video, that commercial. I understand it in its totality. It was strategic as hell. It was a need, and they fulfilled it. Now, black women claim that they feel that it was at their expense, and that's their problem, which is not. As Biracial pointed out in his video, they've done 100 ads directed at you, directly at you. But they do one ad to diversify, and all of a sudden, y'all in y'all feelings. That's very childish, very immature. But yeah, I get that. I get what they were doing in that commercial. Just a quick situation, story I'll tell. I remember I was at this event with my mom. It was for some type of political thing, and I'm at a table, only brother at that table, but it was a bunch of sisters and one other white lady before another white lady showed up. The white lady who showed up, she was like the secretary or like the assistant of the common councilman of that district, and she was just being there on his behalf. He's the black common councilman or whatever, but he sent his white secretary to go on his behalf. But she kind of let it be known quick that she was down, and you get that means like she was married to a black man, so I guess she was letting you know she's privy to black conversations and things of that nature. But one of the chicks at the table, who does hair and all that stuff for a living and whatnot, she gonna tell a girl next to me, like, yo, ask her, is that her natural hair color? And the girl told her no. And then she asked me to ask her. I'm like, I'm not asking this lady this. And then the lady responds. She goes, did you watch Oprah? And this is like, it just happened. I didn't know what she was talking about, but I guess this is just how it happened. I guess this is around the time when, I don't know if it's the Chris Rock show or a separate show where they were talking about hair, and the white lady said, y'all not supposed to ask us about our hair color, and we not supposed to ask y'all about y'all weave. Man, the faces at that table full of hair hats, it was silenced. But the point was that to them, dyeing their hair or coloring their hair, I guess is their version of self-hate. I guess the whole emphasis of that girl saying I had to dye my hair 7 times blonde was to point out, like, I know I don't fit in with this hair color. I know that it's more socially acceptable if I have blonde hair. Again, same arguments that some sisters make when they do capitulate to corporate America and they change their hairstyle to fit in. Can we agree that that's a similar argument? Not saying it's the same effect. Of course, black women hair goes deeper than that because, when you got the military and you got schools. Now, I do have videos about black people fake outrage about the kids who got sent home because of their hair. But I got like 10 clips of white kids being sent home too because of their hair too. So I think sometimes we make everything about race, and it's not always that. It's just that school policy. If it looks different, if it's distracting, that somebody's going to hate, whether they're white or black. But yeah, I guess that's their thing. Like a woman dyeing her hair, you asking is that her natural hair color, is just, I guess, as egregious as you walking up to a black woman asking is that her real hair. Not to belabor the point, but these whole conversations, the reason why I want to address this video, because again, black women have been boycotting everything, and then sometimes I think they're overshooting what power they actually have. Somebody said this in one of my videos. They said that because it was in context to a lot of these black entertainers getting boycotted from black women who have non-black wives. And the reality is a lot of these folks are successful in spite of the black community, in particular black women. Someone made the point, like, we built this company, or we built them off our backs. And that could be true, but there's a level of which a person meets where they don't need you anymore. There's a point where they can branch off and go mainstream. If you look at Lil Wayne concert or a Lil Yachty concert. Even Dave Chappelle made the joke, even though I don't think black people were banging with him in the beginning. We didn't really start messing with him until the Chappelle show. That's when black folks fell in love with him. But he said, yo, I wish more black people were at my shows. White people must have faster internet. Like, that was his joke. Like, he knows that his core audience, the ones who show up at his concerts, how he makes his money, the audience is full of white folks. So, and someone made the comment on my Facebook page that a lot of these black people that black women claim that they built and they created and they maintained and they, you know, even though we're 12% of the population, they might be 7% of that. Then you can account for how many are actually in a demographic age who actually can buy these things. That's a smaller number. Then the data says that, you know, the accumulated black wealth of black women is $5. The average black woman that is worth is $11,000 in debt. Then it says the black family household, according to Tone Talks and Yvette Cornell, the black family minus the car is only worth $1,700. What you building with all that? Like when you add the numbers, it just don't add up. But they like to act like their buying power has more. I think sometimes more power, more value than it actually does have. So you listen to Princess Sincere, the black woman is God in that in regards. They can make or break anything. I disagree, and I'm saying we're going. You know, this is an example of a company who. It's a black-owned company. I didn't know. It apparently says it has. So I asked a question to a group. It has 3 owners. I guess they're African, and so it's basically a black company. But we're trying to boycott another black company. I was just trying to get that through my head. Like, where else should gonna go? But my point is that all these boycotts, they have a flip side to it. And I'm saying eventually, like I said in my video about Gorilla, eventually you probably gonna see more of what the offer did. Black women are happy and saying taking credit for the show not doing as successful or whatever because they had 180,000 views. I don't know how that works. I assume that the show's going there to probably pull in more multicultural and black audiences, because I don't know Showtime to have shows that, you know, cater to a black demographic. So I'm saying in your boycott for the lack of representation, you might just end up getting ignored altogether. I think certain companies are in a position where they can say, fuck you, we don't need that, and we can keep going. And I say that because with the whole Pepsi situation, even though they apologized, women claim that they were still going to drink Coca-Cola. They're not drinking Pepsi. I think that's a lie. They're going to drink Pepsi still. And all the other products that Pepsi makes as well. Like, it's not just that. They do a shitload of other things that you enjoy and use every day. And the same thing with this company. Like, some people said, we saw the apology. I think the Dolomite chick, she said, oh, even though they apologized, I'm still not buying the product because they wouldn't mention black women. They said women of color. Again, y'all the ones that's on the kumbaya multiculturalism stuff. Y'all the ones who sit in front of biracial women and put them on a pedestal, but now you don't want to hear that. It is what it is. But I really think that people are overshooting the power that they have, and y'all about to boycott y'all way out of existence. You probably will see more situations like Kanye West's casting call, or the dude who did Gorilla, who has a biracial wife. If he's already got to account for black women not supporting him, then it will be in his best interest to either, as Chrissy agreed with and said, that you shouldn't take the roles anyways, but these men shouldn't hire you behind the scene or in front of the camera either. If they can account for your dollar not being there anyways in the first place. And if they do have a slip up or a mistake or, you know, one ad that they're trying to broaden their horizons and reach a different demographic because they want to make money to stay in business, because clearly what you help build them do is not sustaining them anymore, so they have to branch out. That's how business works. I think people are going to start calling you bluff. An example of that would be what happened on A&E with the Duck Dynasty crap. You know, they said some things, the father of the patriarch said some things, black folks were in their feelings, didn't like it. The Duck Dynasty knee-jerk reaction said, we got to get this show off the air. even though it was bringing them in money and all this other things. Even though black people were not watching the show or even that network, that was dumb on A&E's part. So they capitulated to the industrial complex of fake outrage. But then what do white folks do? All these, like Amazon, I think was the first person that said, "Oh, we're not going to sell," because they're betting on people coming to them because they chose to be the social justice warrior. But Walmart was like, "Nah, we're holding up," and I think the numbers went through the roof in support of the Duck Dynasty merchandise and the DVD sales and all that stuff. Then A&E's like, "Oh shit, these motherfuckers is making money. We can't get rid of the show." So what they do, they go and say, "Oh, okay, we're gonna bring the show back, but we're gonna just get rid of the father off the show." I don't think in any ways that they got rid of him without him still being able to profit off of his family being on the show. But I'm saying, I remember all the liberal commentators are like happy when Duck Dynasty, like, "All right, we're taking the show off the air." But then specifically Lamont Hill, he's all, "Oh, the Republicans like using this whole let the market decide narrative." I'm like, the market, that's not really the market deciding. That was the company thinking that getting rid of them would help their brand and help them out. Not the market was really deciding, because the market did decide eventually, and the white folks went out there and they bought the merchandise and they said, "We want the show to stay on air," and they brought the show back. They just took the father off the show. So I'm saying, it's like, I don't think we're ready for the flip side of the boycotts. When a company says, "We did the numbers, we did the math, and your complaints don't, our cost benefit analysis was done, and to capitulate to your complaint does not financially benefit us, so we're good." I think you need to be ready for that, because if y'all boycotting everything and vocalizing it, especially when it's usually a black man or a black owned something, eventually you're gonna see more of, say, Moisture's trying to reach out and try, and I think that opens up a slippery slope, man. It opens up a whole different can of worms, to where you place yourself in this position where you're just untouchable, to where they don't want to market to you anymore at all. They don't want to give you representation at all, because they have to be on eggshells about everything. This is definitely not the space to be. Now, me personally, I thought the Coca-Cola, the Pepsi ad was dumb, it was stupid. But I think they knew what they were doing. I think we are the most studied animals on the planet, specifically black folks, consumers in America, period. Everything we do, think, they already know. They already got think tanks and $1 billion. That's why it's called advertisement. They don't spend $4 million on a 15-second commercial on Super Bowl for no reason. They know what the hell they're doing. I was going back and forth with Christy about this, that some outrage, the all publicity is good publicity, and my example would be Tyrese. Tyrese didn't apologize until after Fast and Furious already broke the record. They did 500 million worldwide, 94 million in China, 94 million in America, which was down from last year, but they did 100 something million in China, or Japan rather. And then he apologized, but he didn't even apologize for the other stuff, for the hair stuff, for what they claimed was his other sexism, misogyny, and his other advice. He apologized for the one thing I said he thought that he was actually right about women who are holding out and waiting for a certain type of character or guy to do that. He apologized for that after the movie was already out. If anybody more than any one person who, you know, he has 2 books out, which he was promoting, both of them, because one is the older one that he keeps bringing the first one up. He's on a TV show. I think he's on a show with Queen Latifah. He has a shitty rap album that he just drops. And he was in Fast and Furious, which is bigger than him, and he's not the face of it or nothing like that. He was brought on initially to replace Vin Diesel in the second one, but he's not, you know, people want to see The Rock and they want to see Vin Diesel. Those are the superstars of that movie, but he is a part of that cast. So boycott him would have been dumb for that whole movie, being that he's just one piece of a 15 cast, and there's a lot bigger stars on there than he is. I think Vin Diesel can bring in just as many black women because they like him as much as Tyrese could. But if anybody had more reason to be PC and capitulate and kiss butt, it's him, because he has more stuff targeted in demographics of black women. I don't think they're gonna boycott his music because he's the only R&B star left that's really trying to do real R&B music in regards to not like Tank, where I think that was one of their problems, where he wants to do the stuff where you got rappers doing features on the songs and stuff like that, and more party and club music. He's the only one that says, "Oh, I want to do straight up R&B music," and he did that. So I'm saying, and that's what black women claim they want to see. So I don't think they're really going to truly boycott. And I think he knows that. That's why he kept talking shit the whole time. He did not apologize. I mean, I didn't care what he said, right? I was happy that a black man was unapologetic and said what the fuck he thought and what he meant. And even though he got the backlash, he kept saying it. That principle alone to me is like, keep going. And like the week the movie came out, I saw the last interview he did where the women on the show actually questioned him about, you know, the so-called alleged misogyny or when it comes to women being promiscuous and whatnot. And he still doubled down and said what he had to say. But he did not apologize until he said something else. But that was after the movie was done. We got to recognize this. Again, somebody said this in one of my comments, that a lot of these men are successful in spite of the black community. If you look at Charlamagne right now and where he's at, he's going around doing all his interviews and promoting his book. And one thing is unique is he's in spaces that I've never, like, because you all grown up, you watch the talk shows, you've seen when somebody is going on David Letterman, The Night Show, The View, whatever, to promote a book. I'll say Charlamagne is different in the sense that he's been in spaces that, like, he's on Sports Center, right? Like, he's doing The View, he's doing the talk shows, he's on MTV. He's now at a point where he's successful in spite of the black community. Even though he does cater to and tries to capitulate in some ways, and he tries to play that route, like, you know, if you look at the backlash that French Montana had, he tried to, oh, we need to get French Montana on here to apologize to black women. You know, he tries to act like he's that dude in that regard, but even though a lot of the women in the comment section of that video were like, this apology was stupid and it was dumb, and they ended up joking and being clowning around too in the conversation, but he's trying to be that guy, but I think he's at a point where he's arrived to where he can be successful in spite of the black community. And that's what I think people need to recognize too. You might claim you build some people up, but if you're trying to stop people from expanding who they are and stuff like that, you're not really giving them much choice. They're not going to... I like to rhyme like common, but I haven't rhymed like common sense. That's how you get a Jay-Z.